They attempted to attribute that to CO2, which has a cooling effect, which causes the atmospheric layers to condense. That's also not the case because the temperature is still rising. In other words, it's sucking up energy and it's heating up, and the molecules are becoming dense, which is the big problem. They normally calculate the density by the drag on satellites as they're in orbit. The drag is increasing, and so now a repositioning of satellites is going to take place. It's a nightmare scenario because the thermosphere will heat up the mesosphere, which will eventually go all the way down to the troposphere, which is where our storms and so forth are created, which is going to cause a type hyperweather condition and very excessive heat.
Now, how long is
the beginning of the process?
Yeah. Now, how long has this process been happening? I mean, are we talking hundreds of years? Are we talking just a few decades?
3 years.
Huh?
3 years.
3 years.
It's been increasing for 3 years, not hundreds of years. This is a fairly new phenomenon, something they have no explanation for it. They don't know where the energy is coming from.
Now, when you said several months ago, you said that we would be entering into a galactical plane of a lot of asteroids, meteorites would be racing by the Earth.
Right.
And that the numbers of them are going to increase significantly to the point that the odds of being hit by one will significantly increase. Now, I know what the Bible says in Revelation 8, Revelation 16. We do get hit. That's prophesied. But is that, my question is, the Earth going into this galactical plane, is that what's helping bring about this phenomenon? Or are you saying we still don't know what's causing it?
No, they can't attribute, based on the findings right now, they can't attribute this heat up to any external forces. They're dealing with the same type of energy. It's just that something is collapsing the thermosphere, which, by the way, is called the heat sphere. And so it will increase. Normally it's cold up there. Normally at about 100 kilometers, it's extremely cold, minus 245 degrees. But because the molecules are beginning to compact, heat is going to be transferred faster and faster. The satellites are heating up and everything else. And so we're dealing with a compression event not only in the thermosphere, which affects the ionosphere, which is full of plasma, radiation, and charged particles, but now it's coming closer to the surface of the Earth. That, in turn, is feeding a type of convection current causing these superstorms.
Okay, so this intense energy that's only been going on for 3 years at the thermosphere and the ionosphere and pushing toward the stratosphere, maybe working its way to our atmosphere. So what you're saying is, as it's pushing down, the energy's pushing down, it's forcing the currents of the jet stream, it's forcing the wind speeds, and not only up in the atmospheric area or the jet stream area, but all the way down closer to the Earth's surface. Even the waves in the sea, the winds are picking up.
Yes. Yes. Now, that's the good news. The bad news, the ultimate effect of which they know about, is once that thermosphere condenses to a specific point, the transfer of all those charged particles will enter into the troposphere, which is where all the storms are developed. The ionosphere is important to transfer. It's actually responsible for the phenomenon we call lightning, which is the instant ejection of electrons to the Earth's surface. Now, the top of the atmosphere is charged positive. The Earth's surface is negative. If it begins to collapse, you're looking at very high discharges of electricity. Some of that electricity or plasma is also known as polar auroras. called auroras.
Yeah.
And the magnetosphere traps that energy in there. So here's the phenomena that's going to precede a very hot, hot time. The entire sky will begin to change to a golden color because of charged particles. Okay. And it's going to likely frighten people. These are things people are going to see for themselves.
Are these the great signs? I mean, when the Bible says, I just read, for they shall see great signs, great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines and pestilence and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven?
You know what? It could be one, Pastor Paul. I do know that the modeling suggests that the sky will be so energized it will take on a golden color. During the nighttime, clouds will actually transfer slow charged particles between themselves. And then all of a sudden, the rain is going to stop because the convection units, the air, the cold and hot air will begin to equalize, which means no clouds at the end of this thing, which means rains can be withheld for at least 4 or 5 years.
That could bring great drought and famine then on the land.
Right. 4 or 5 years of no rain would certainly, I mean, even in the first 6 months, rivers would disappear.
Right.
Lakes would disappear. And then there's another phenomenon. Because the atmospheric compression is happening from above, we also have the ocean floor rising. It's rising because as the thermosphere transfers energy to the Earth's surface, it heats up the magma internally in the Earth, which means that magma will reach such energy that it will, too, begin to expand. And as it comes closer to the surface, it's not going to cool down, which means it's going to pierce the surface. Now you have volcanism.
It's called what?
Gas lines. One of the fears right now are the gas lines underneath most major cities, because they know that some of this magma can come up through what's called, they call them straws. Well, they call them straws. It's maybe a 1-inch pocket or a tube type thing that they melt through, but they're so small that they hold all that pressure. It keeps getting hot. And, of course, gas lines being all under major cities is not such a good idea. But they're there. If one gets hit, then that explosion underground would cause an earthquake, and that would be that would burn the city.
Now you got to so in layman's terms to try to help us understand what basically you're saying is going to be way more volcanic activity. Volcanoes will be erupting, and little fissures, little small lines of volcanic activity because of the pressure of the earth will happen. But put that in a perspective. Put it in a time frame for me. I mean, is that going to happen next week? Is that going to happen next month? Next year? In a decade? What is the? I mean, I understand you're saying that this phenomenon of this stratosphere heating up has only been going on for the last 3 years, and we definitely can see changes in the climates and the straight line winds and these. You were talking about charged particles in the sky, so we know that these lightning bolts are extremely more powerful. I mean, people are getting videos of it, pictures of it. Meteorologists are talking about how they've never seen so many lightning strikes and such power of the lightning strikes. So, okay, and the straight line winds and extreme weather patterns. All right. So when will we begin to see the volcanic activity increasing?
Well, you know what, Pastor Paul, August 16th, there are gravity waves all over the place. We have gravity waves on Earth between the surface of the Earth all the way up to about 100 kilometers. In the universe, in our galaxy, we have gravity waves that are getting the preceding edges of them. August 16, 2015, we're supposed to get whacked by a type of gravity wave. At that point, it will likely cause an instability.
Wait a minute. Did you say August
16, 2015?